Well, hello and welcome to this episode of the Terri Cole Show. I'm so excited that you are here. I just had the most amazing interview with Allyson Byrd, who is an entrepreneur. They call her the Profit Accelerator. She's won tons of awards. She helps catapult entrepreneurs into becoming the highest authority in their own lives. She has an incredibly interesting life story of how she's gotten there. And we talk quite a bit about money mindset, why we think what we do about money, how to shift it if it's not working for you, how to manifest what it is that you want in your life. So I hope that you enjoyed this interview with Allyson Byrd as much as I enjoyed interviewing her. I am super psyched to welcome Allyson Byrd to the Terri Cole Show. Welcome, Allyson.
Hello, my new friend. I'm really excited to be with you.
So many things that I want to talk about. At the top of the show, I was just talking about your very massive bio and the things that you have done, but I'm always most interested to start with folks who do extraordinary things in life about their beginnings. How did you start? Tell us your story. How did you get where you are?
How did I start? I started as a little Black girl with a dream. I mean, very foundationally. I remember being 3 years old and being unafraid to grab a microphone, to say my Easter speech at church. My family was very involved in the church, the Christian church. My grandfather founded several churches that still exist today. And so that's where I found my voice. And all the kids would be crying and nervous. And I would be asking them, can I see your speech? They were on these little pieces of paper. And I would say, can I see your speech? And I made it my responsibility to learn everyone else's speeches so that if they got nervous, I could grab the microphone because I knew I wasn't. And by doing that, my church's first lady is what they're called, the pastor's wife, noticed me. And she also noticed my mom. And she noticed that we didn't have a lot of money, a lot of resources, but that my mother had this little girl with a big dream. And she said to me, anything you want to do, ask me and I will help you. And I wanted to go to a national speech convention by the time I was 7. And I went to my first speech convention and won awards, we were shopping later that day. And we met the #1 recording artist that was going to be there that day out just shopping. Terri, that really describes me. I have been a human that has always known that my voice mattered. I've been a human that has always known that relationships were the greatest value and the greatest currency available to me. I've always been guided to the perfect humans at the most aligned times. For me to be of service to them and for them to be of service to me. And I've always cherished the gift that was inside of me to the best of my ability with the knowledge, the resources, the education level, the emotional intelligence that I had within me at that time. So when people ask me to tell my story, I always tell it differently because I'm always in a new place of appreciation and honor for the historical context that builds how and why I choose to exist today. And so I feel like I have a really beautiful journey that every human can receive from because I started with a normal template and kept seeking humans that were beyond normal, humans that did the extraordinary, humans that push the edges of their perceived limitations, humans that challenge the illusions that were right in front of them. I've always pursued that. And so today I live an illusion of bliss
Yeah, man.
and delight and happiness and fulfillment because I choose to. And when anything comes in to disturb or disrupt that, I presence myself. I find myself within my body. I find where I'm hiding, where I'm scared, where I feel any emotion other than presence and discipline to be there. And I unpack it. And that's what gives me a frictionless existence as much as possible. And I think that describes who Allyson Byrd is, beyond the accolades, beyond the achievements, which I've worked very, very hard for and still do. I just am sovereign apart from them. They exist. And also, so does my highest self, my greater consciousness that helps me govern my life with deep compassion and immense love.
Wow. I love that so much. I have a question about the present moment consciousness that you just described. Like this ability to be here now, even though something's happening that might make you want to go away, not be here now. Do you have any mindfulness practices that you do on a regular basis, whether it be prayer, meditation, breathing? Is there anything that, like, what does your daily life look like in respect to those practices?
Yeah, I love rapid practices. In human design, I'm a manifesting generator. And in astrology, I'm a Gemini. And it's really playful to be in my life because you can be around me, and if you don't know me, you think I'm scattered. If you do know me, you know that every idea that I'm having in that moment is going to land to our highest good. And so when I find my emotions rise, what some people would describe as negative emotion, maybe I'm feeling sad or betrayed, I'm feeling angry or lost, I'm feeling jeopardized in some way. Just the other day, I'll give you an example. I was challenging my own upper limits around money. I was giving myself permission to step into a new expansive way to relate with money. And I felt fear present itself. And I wrote this practice out of reading Gay Hendricks' book, The 10-Second Miracle. Now, a lot of people know Gay's book, The Big Leap. But if you read The 10-Second Miracle, I think Gay wrote it in the late 70s, early 80s. And in that book, to me, it's the great prelude to The Big Leap. And he talks about a 10-second miracle in which you, in the moment of feeling what you're feeling, that you pause and you find that feeling within your body. Is it in your toe? Is it in your gut? Is it in your ear? Is your ear burning? Do your lips tingle? Do your teeth get a sensation? You find it. And the design of that activity is that when you find it, you will start to learn when your body is speaking to you ahead of your mind. So before your mind can get in the programming of I'm upset, I want to lash out, I want to blame others instead of blessing. If you notice where it is in your body, you can go to that place and have a conversation with yourself. So I wrote a modality where in 10 seconds, you can ask yourself, I desire to feel, and you fill in the blank. In 10 seconds, you can ask yourself, I desire to think, and you can fill in the blank. In 10 seconds, you can ask yourself, I desire to know, and you can fill in the blank. And then in 10 seconds, you can say, I desire to let fill in the blank be easy. And if you can take 10 seconds, any one of those sentence stems, or all of them, if you can take 40 seconds, you'll be surprised at how resistant you are when you go to do the exercise to even gift yourself 10 minutes of emotional stability or 10 seconds. And if 10 seconds is too much for you to gift yourself, then you can look around and understand why your life in certain arenas isn't what you desire for it to be. And so that's a practice that I like to use on a pretty consistent basis with myself and with my clients that I work with. And it helps us graduate our emotional awareness pretty quickly.
It's so amazing that the tapping into the body wisdom, because that wisdom, it's interesting. I teach something similar with boundaries where even if you can't deal with it here, when you think about the interaction, something happened for you physically. You had a constriction. Maybe you got a flush of heat in your face. Like something happened, even if you didn't say anything. And it's trusting. And what you're saying is the same, like trusting that your body is like real dialed in to what is happening before your mind is like, it's fine, or gets into denial, or is like, I'll deal with it later, or whatever it is that we're doing to let ourselves off the hook from dealing with it, where, of course, we're simply prolonging our pain, obviously, by not dealing with it. But I think that's a really helpful exercise. And what I love about it is you can really do it anywhere because it's so quick.
It's so quick. And to give yourself permission, and my love and I, my life partner, we're able to say now, I have heat at my neck. And that just immediately lets the other person know, back up just a bit. Like, I don't know what the feeling is. I don't know what the emotion is yet. I don't even have the verbal expression, but my body is physically reacting and I need help. And help to me, we've determined help may look like pull back on the conversation, be silent for a moment, create eye contact, maybe come and touch me so that I can come back into my body even more, those kinds of things. And a lot of people ask, how do I have such an ultra successful existence? It's because every moment to me matters. If I am sweeping moments under the rug, moments where I'm disingenuous, moments where I'm lacking integrity, moments where I'm not aligned with myself or in my right whole mind, if I'm sweeping that under the rug, then I'm going to live a life tripping over that all the time. Right. And that's not graceful. That's not easeful. And that is not abundance.
Yes. I find I get a lot of questions about abundance and about the conflict that women in particular, in my therapeutic experience, have a really fraught relationship with desiring financial abundance. The shit is complicated, where it's not just as easy, right, as you would think. Well, it's obvious. What's wrong with wanting that? So I would love to know, since you literally are an expert at creating abundance and teaching others to create abundance, what have you seen? Money, mindset, manifestation, like what is it that you've seen, and what do you suggest for people who are conflicted about this?
It's funny that you ask me, and you ask me in the context of those who identify as women. I read a statistic maybe about a year and a half ago, and the numbers vary. So I kind of keep it in the middle based on different studies that I've read, but somewhere between 65 and 67% of women in this survey identify that they fake their orgasms. And it was very interesting to me, Terry, because as I kept reading different studies, the numbers continued to trend over 50% and consistently be over 65. So I just was reading, and I thought to myself, this is interesting, because manifestation and abundance is a conversation of authenticity in my experience. And if we are primarily as a collective denying ourselves real pleasure when we have a voice and a body in which to communicate, I desire this, I would love if you do this. Instead, we're going to utilize more energy to fake scream, fake moan, fake gyrate, and give the other human an illusion that they are pleasing us. And we have somehow in our mind convinced ourselves that's a good idea. Well, if we're doing that in the bedroom, how are we not doing that in life? And how are we not doing that in our relationship with our own universe? So what I recognize is that most of the humans that have come to me, I would say 99.99% that have come to me saying they want one thing, but they want another. And what they want is what presents to the world as abundance. But that's what they're coming saying they want. But their deeper core desire is their own abundance that they've been denying. The bliss of what it would be like to be in a fulfilling relationship. The joy and embodiment of leading their children and parenting them from a way that feels good for them, not in the repatterning of their parents. The disciplines to treat and love their body well, to have overall spiritual well-being and consciousness, however they define that, by God, Allah, Buddha, Christ, Source, Universe, all that is, pure love. And they're afraid to say that. And so when they step into the principles of manifestation, they start with that fake it kind of same notion. I'm going to pretend with the universe that I'm happy, that I'm pleased, that what I want is a successful business, when it really is the healing of my marriage or the reconciliation from the traumas that they've lived as children. So to me, abundance begins with the honor of self. I don't feel like you've got to go through 18 different trauma coaches or therapists or behavioral therapy in order to tap into that. But I do believe that those components matter.
Yeah.
And my dogs agree.
Hold on. That's correct. Wholeheartedly. We agree. Like, keep it down, buddy. Hey, listen, this is,
I know, right?
This is real life, man. We have dogs. There are things. We're in cities.
There are things. They happen, and they're so beautiful. They're the best sweethearts. So I'm grateful that they agreed with me. So what I recognize when we are learning these principles of manifestation, we are placing them on over our lives, almost like mayonnaise on bread, like just slathering it on instead of going to the core and knowing what we really desire. And it's difficult, Terri. I don't have to explain this to you. It's difficult to know what we desire when Stanford just released a study that said the average human brain has over 60,000 thoughts in a day, and that more than 90% of them are a repeat of the day before, unless you have some type of pattern interruption. So if we're recycling our thoughts, if we're pretending in our most intimate spaces that we're pleased and happy when we are not, if we are reflecting desires that we've borrowed from the culture, then knowing what we really want is very difficult, which means that when we go into prayer, when we go into meditation, we are going often through performance. And then we're wondering why we don't get what we performed in prayer that we wanted, because it's not the real desire of our heart. And that is a fatiguing process of belief. And that's what I do in the world now, is I help unpack all of those things so that humans can really see what is success for you. What is your ambition rooted in? What are your authentic desires? And how do we get you into a state to receive those instead of work so hard for those?
Right. You know, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. You know, my question is, how much in your experience of unpacking all of these things, the base of this sort of the erection of the false self, right? Like all of this strengthening of the false self by not telling the truth about the orgasm, not knowing who we are, whatever it is, how much of this is based on having the disease to please, being afraid of rejection, and trying to avoid conflict?
So much of it, I find that people pleasing turns into universe pleasing. That we take those people pleasing tendencies and then we pretend with our own universe. I'm doing a good job. Do I get rewarded today? I was nice to someone at my office. Does that mean suddenly I'm going to open my bank account and have a windfall of money? So I noticed that, as to use your language, that strengthening of the false self also connects a lot to how we grew up. Disney characters, seeing ourselves be saved and rescued if we identified as the young girl or the princess, seeing ourselves save others if we identified as the male prince coming in to do it, learning that rich was bad if we watched movies like Little Orphan Annie, learning that you don't have love if you're wealthy. Those kinds of things have fortified us and disrupted our knowledge of truth, that we can be abundant, that we can identify in any way that we want to identify, and it doesn't eviscerate our power. It doesn't take away our strength, our connection to the supernatural, that we are higher consciousness and human, and that we're meant to live both. I see so many humans out there who want to live only their holy existence. And I'm like, baby, you're in a 3D realm. Like, you're going to fuck up. Right. You're going to hurt somebody's feelings. You're going to step on someone's toes and they're going to step on yours. And learning how to be in the emotional equilibrium of those experiences, it matters to keep life going and to keep moving our energetic signatures forward for progress so that we can be more of a contribution beyond our four walls, of existence and actually make a difference to the oneness.
Well, it's so true. And part of the whole worthiness piece of this, where we're talking about abundance and manifesting abundance and being specific to financial manifestation, making lots of dough, that most of us had messages when we were little that is bad, that if you want it, it's bad. Maybe it's not necessarily the way that I was raised. It was not good, right? That there was something negative about quote unquote rich people. I was raised very middle class, and those things I see from a therapeutic point of view, those old tapes or those old beliefs, they're still there. Even if we do the work, even if we're an entrepreneur, even if we're building our business. That a friend of mine her name is Lara Riggio, who's a really brilliant energy coach. And she does like muscle testing stuff. And she has this thing where when you want to manifest something, ask yourself, you're going to say these statements and see if your arm goes weak or not. It's okay for me to have more money than my friends, my family, and the poor. And even saying it to my clients, they'd be like, my God, that's terrible. I'm like, but is it? Is it terrible for you to have more money than your friends, your family, and the poor? If you want to start a foundation with all of your money, you can. So let's think about it from that point of view. But it's very revealing when people say that. They're like, I can't even say that. I'm like, okay, well, this is part of the problem of not being able to manifest the financial abundance that you seek and that you're so willing to work so incredibly hard for. But in a way, these limiting beliefs and this energetic block is doing something that's repelling it rather than attracting it, You said in an interview that I heard you on, you said this quote that I really loved. You said, mediocrity is a habit.
It is. And I learned and discovered that I was not mediocre at my core. I learned and discovered that it was the environments of the humans that I was around and what I was adopting for myself. And it wasn't that the humans around me were bad humans. It was that they were growing up the way they were growing up. I grew up Black and in America in the 80s and in the 90s. The LA Times reported that in 1992, that the average Black household was up over 50% in revenue to $28,000 a year, up in 1992. Wow. So for me to step out on my own and simply create $35,000 a year was a ginormous feat for myself. When I think about having tons and tons of money, I like to always ask humans, go back and look at what your parents earned if you have access to that. If you don't have access to what they earned or to your parents, go back and look at that time, look at that segment, look at where you live geographically, and look at what was around you. What was speaking to you about money? Because by the time we're 7, our relationship with money is pretty cemented in. And so if we can, look at those themes that we were around, to me, it can help you understand what is a lot to you. And just because someone is online saying that they did $100 million in 5 minutes, that may not be the goal, the desire of your heart. And it might not even be where you have capacity ever. You just may not ever want that kind of capacity. Right. So it's important when, to qualify what loads of money is and let every single human know you get to decide what is a lot for you. The first time I made $100,000 in a year blew me away. The first time I made $100,000 in a day blew me away again. The first time I made $100,000 in 3 minutes blew me away again. Like, holy smokes. And each time I gave myself permission to expand. I gave myself permission to investigate and to ask myself, what are you feeling? Why are you feeling it? What part of you is worthy? Do you even know what you want to do with this money? Do you have an agenda? Do you feel an assignment within your body? You know, what did you promise yourself before that you would do with it? Are you still in alignment with those agreements that you've written in your vision before? So it's been really fun and very playful for me to discover. And I feel like so many humans go, how do I just get some money? If it's not a lot of money, how do I just get a little bit? And I say, start here. Honor your promises to yourself. Start there. If you say you're going to go to the gym, go to the gym. If you say you're going to wash the dishes, wash the dishes. If you say you're going to go take a nap, go take a nap. If you can begin to honor your promises to yourself, that self-integrity will open up windfalls of money coming. And you'll probably see it right after you honor a promise to yourself. You'll probably see a penny on the ground. You'll find a dime in the couch. You'll find $1 in a bag that you hadn't been in, a $20 bill in a jacket. And those are all pieces of evidence. Stay on path. Stay in integrity to yourself. Do what you said you would do, and you'll be guided to every opportunity for abundance for your own life.
That's so great. You know, Deepak says, right, look for meaningful coincidences, right? I call them syncretistic happenings, where it does feel like the angels or the universe is just like, hey girl, you're in the right, you're on the right path. Keep going. But we have to be present enough to see those meaningful coincidences. And I love so much what you just shared, because, you know, Allyson, the connection between having healthy internal boundaries, that's what we call, right? That's what I call what you're saying, when we don't abandon ourselves and our desires, and we stay true, where we say, I'm going to do that thing. And then you do that thing. You start becoming someone you can count on. And then you're now on a different vibration of, instead of being someone who you can't count on, and then you attract others you can't count on, now you are raising the bar. Because if we think about our relationship to ourselves, this really is the one that sets the bar for every other friggin' relationship we're ever going to have in our lives, because we're endlessly teaching people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. So I love that direct connection between start small, start simple, keep your word. So you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this, if you're going to take one thing away besides finding out more about this beautiful human, is start small, keep your word to yourself, and you will be amazed at how your life may change. And one other thing I want to talk about, Allyson, is, you know, people look at you. I think I heard you on NPR. You've done all the things, right? You've helped so many people up their businesses and scale their business and success. And yet you yourself, right? It's like that's the end result people look at. But you have worked your butt off, and you have gone through the ups and downs of having it be massive and then losing a lot with your business, right? Didn't you go through a period of time over the last 10 years? So would you tell us a little bit about that?
Very much so. When I lost myself several times, several times, and almost lost myself this week. Like it can happen. And what I mean by that is not lose myself, like where did Allyson go, but lose my own vision, my own Hoshin Conry or North Star. Where am I going? What's meaningful and important to me? And I was mentored by some of the best of the best. That's one of the great things of my particular placement in life. I attract mentors always. And I was in a season where I was mentorless, and I didn't feel safe around mentors. I had had some wounding relationships. I had villainized those relationships. And what I mean by that is I decided that the pain that I felt in those relationships was bad for me, instead of understanding that it was helpful because of the way that those humans facilitated it in my life. So I was in judgment, and being in judgment, being in pain, being in fear, those are all very constraining. So I found myself constrained, restricted. I felt small. I felt like not enough. And I began making decisions out of those identities. And that led me to clients that weren't right fits, which mean they sued me. That led me into business deals with partnerships that weren't deeply aligned, which meant we were contentious. That led me to create products and that were not of the highest service, which meant the conversion could not be at the volume in which I desired because it wasn't for the masses.
Yep.
Those were all the kinds of disruptions. I found myself dishonoring and disconnected from my body. So after releasing 165 pounds off of my body, I put it right back on and found myself just bloated and inflamed. Really, I was hiding inside of myself. That's what I recognize now. I had found a hiding place inside of myself and was just building more and more of a cage. So I learned in those times very sweetly to be compassionate to myself. And the first way that I created compassion for myself was I lightened my schedule. My schedule was overwhelming all day, every day. I had studied productivity specialists that were like, if it's not scheduled, if it's not planned, if it's not in your calendar, it's not the thing. And I translated that, Terri, to every hour of every day needed to be full. They never said that, but I translated it.
Right.
So lightening my schedule was one of the first things, looking and saying, what have I agreed to do that I have made it a place of value and validation, but it's no longer that? Where am I giving my time away? Where am I giving my energy and my devotion away? And I took it 10%, then 20%, then 30%. I'm currently at 40%. I am working to get 50% of my time back and in full devotion to my existence, my supernatural relationship with God, angels, universe, light, all that is, and my willingness to hear how to be used in service instead of immediately projecting my beautiful multi-passionate energy into a new product, a new collaboration, a new stream of work or revenue that I already know. When you gain your time back, it gives you opportunity to be surprised by the universe. And I want to say this, when I met my life partner, he got on his knees in front of me on our third date, Terri. And he looked at me in my eyes and he said, "You are the most incredible woman. And I want to know you, take care of you, love you, honor you, be with you. However, the level of control in which you're communicating to me right now, it will not work for a growing relationship. I need you to let me show you how capable I am." He told me that.
Wow, that's mind-blowingly evolved.
Isn't that mind-blowing? Third date, date 3. And I came and wrote a message from the universe to me. And I said, you're trying to show me how capable you are. And I just keep getting in the way like I'm the best basketball player on the planet, just defending all the way. And I realized the universe is always our universe, because my universe is not the same as yours, right? We're sharing one right now because we've agreed to, and everyone that's watching us is enveloped in the universe that we have created together, but they're different. And our universe is always trying to show us, always on its knees in benevolence and in full service to us, saying, let me show you how capable I am. And that's why lightening the schedule can help you really see the beauty that the universe has for you through abundance, through relationships, through your own well-being. That's how physical healing can magically show up in your body. Cancer can be eviscerated. Marriages can be reconciled. Unconscious divorce, unconscious, that's not what I'm trying to say. Consciously uncoupling with beauty, with grace, with love and respect, with blessing and release. Those kinds of things can occur if we give ourselves the space, the solitude, and the stillness in which to be guided and governed to really live a life that we absolutely love and that loves us back. That's abundance. That's money in the bank to me all day long, because there's no way you can live like that and your bank account is not reflecting it. Your investment accounts are not reflecting it. The properties in which you live, the vacations in which you go to, the handbags in which you choose to travel, the materials that you choose to put on your body, the foods and the beverages that you choose to allow to go across your palate, it all will begin to change.
Amazing. Oh my God. Thank you, Allyson, so much for spending so much time with us today. We so appreciate it. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh, I live on Instagram. We love our Instagram family and platform. And if you love that, like where you can kind of tap in and see what I've got going on and navigate that, do that. And if you ever want to know what my intimate world looks like, you can always go to guidedbyallyson.com, and we've always got something updated there to come be a part of it, something free, something beautiful that I have going on, accessible for everyone and of absolute service to your ultimate destiny.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.